Hello Flickering Myth family and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ Marino and we are discussing Blonde today, the new Netflix movie about Marilyn Monroe starring Ana de Armas. This is a shocking, oh my god movie, and I'm completely surprised that they went as far as they did. Yes, in this video we're going to be discussing the controversy, the shocking nature of the film, and how I think it's one of the year's best as well. Alright everyone, enough of this intro, let's get into my review of Blonde. If you're familiar with this channel or you're just getting to know me, you should know I love shocking movies. I mean, everything from like Necrophile and Martyrs, a Serbian film, Salo. I have seen some sick and depraved things, but Blonde really affected me. I was really shook by this whole film. It is a pretty in-your-face shocking movie, not necessarily in the ways you would think and then exactly in the ways you would think. I mean, there is abortion conversations, there is sexual assault, child abuse, there is domestic violence, there is just how gross and horrible Hollywood was at this time, and sometimes it still is. I mean, we're not that far removed from like the Harvey Weinstein era and the Jeffrey Epstein, all that crazy stuff. We're not far removed from that. So it is pretty crazy to think that Blonde really put this all in your face and let you know what it is like for women in Hollywood, and especially in particular Marilyn Monroe. This was a woman who was way smarter than we gave her credit for, way more of a talent in the industry, but the industry broke her down and really made her into a martyr and in so many ways. There's so many times that this is the story that we use of like, well, you don't want to end up like Marilyn. That's not fair to her. I mean, Miss Norma Jeane did not ask to be the poster child for what is the horrible things that Hollywood can do. And this movie really does, it gives it a new light. Yes, this is highly fictionalized. There are some things that they definitely took liberties with, but based on the book, based on what Andrew Dominik could have done, I was very impressed. This movie is surreal, in your face, shocking. It's so artful as well. The way they use cinematography, the way they use like the framing and just things like that. I really love the aesthetic of this. It's so striking. I loved the period accurate costumes. I loved that this movie felt like a true 40s, 50s adventure. It really captured a lot of elements from that era and didn't try to modernize them. I think that's a problem I have with a lot of biopics. We'll talk about that in a whole nother section, but this really did capture this time period very well. I thought this was such a delightful film to watch aesthetically and all that, and then I'm just watching like the fourth, fifth sexual assault scene, and I'm like, oh goodness, like this is crazy. Like the only time I ever felt happy for Marilyn was when she was having like the three-way relationship with Charlie Chaplin Jr. and I'm like, you go girl, you actually having fun. Like there is moments of levity in this, and it's definitely from Ana de Armas' performance. I mean, the times that she just gets to smile. There's a moment where she turns down a job offer because she's pregnant and she's just like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and she just seemed so happy, and that's where I'm like, oh, the little glimmers of hope, and they do not last long in this movie. This movie comes from Andrew Dominik, a director I don't normally associate with like shocking in-your-face movies. He did do The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, which was a pretty interesting like kind of oh my god movie, and then he did Killing Them Softly, and now he's back with Blonde. But this feels like he's doing like a Pablo Larraín film by way of Lars von Trier. So Pablo did movies like Jackie and the recent Spencer movie with Kirsten Stewart starring as Princess Diana, and Lars von Trier is the dude who did Antichrist and Melancholy and oh my god, just Nymphomaniac, which this movie takes a lot of. And yeah, I like The House that Jack Built. He's a shock art director who I absolutely adore. I know that's a controversial opinion, but this feels like if Lars didn't hate women as much and wanted to tell a tragic female story, this is what this felt like. It was graphic like that. I mean, we saw things in this movie I did not expect to see. The abortion stuff, the sexual assaults, they are very in your face. I mean, it's hard hitting, especially when we don't really show the actual violence, but we're just looking at Marilyn's face. It's hard to watch at times. It's truly an experience, and that's where it made me think of Lars von Trier movies. You see things in those movies that you're confronted with, that you are not ready to see, and that's what this made me feel like. And I was pretty impressed that Andrew Dominik pushed it to this limit. I mean, I know he's adapting a book, and the author of that book had early praise for him. She was definitely like, he made the definitive feminist Marilyn Monroe story. It's as disturbing as I wrote it, and he did that. I love that this is so shocking. But why and how did it go this route? It has an NC-17 rating. Why is it so shocking in that way? And I think it's because it's depicting things that Hollywood is still not ready to talk about to this level. I mean, I know they're like, well, this was in the past. No, baby, this was happening 20, 30 years ago, 10 years ago even. Like, this is not a gone concept of, wow, executives are gross people. Yeah, no, this is still happening. So I do think Hollywood is a bit timid. There also is a nature of this film that none of these shocking things are done for entertainment. I love a good Rob Zombie movie. Like I said, Lars von Trier. I have seen that Evil Dead 2013 movie, which I think is one of the goriest mainstream movies we've ever had. Those are entertaining. This is not meant to just sit and go, wow, what a fun movie that was. That's not this movie. This movie is not fun. It's very well made. I was very, I enjoyed the viewing. I think it's a good movie, but it's not a fun, entertaining thing. It's definitely hard-hitting. It's definitely putting things in your face, presenting you with concepts and going, how do you feel about this? Do you see what we've done as a society to people like Marilyn Monroe? It's absolutely wild. And I do think people are not ready for a movie like this. I think that's what's going to be some of the backlash. I would also say there's people who are going to be very offended and very disturbed by this, and let those people have their very valid feelings. This movie is disturbed. This movie is very hard to watch, and if people are uncomfortable, I definitely think that is a fair criticism. Do I think this movie is exploitative? All biopics are exploitive, like Rocket Man to Bohemian Rhapsody to What's Love Got to Do with It in the 90s. These movies are exploitation. We are seeing a real person's life and putting it on the big screen for us to digest. That is exploitation by nature. So this one does take some liberties, and it does definitely push the boundaries, but I don't think it went in a route that isn't true to what actually happened. Again, highly fictionalized at times, but it did try to depict what really was going on at this time. That is there. I think that's what makes this such an important viewing. It may not make you feel happy watching it. It may not be easy to watch, but it is something you should watch because, one, it's going to be an award season contender. I feel it in my bones, and also it's something that has happened, and it's something that still is happening to this day. We need to talk about it. Hopefully Blonde starts conversations with its shocking nature. I want shock art to start conversations, and this should be a conversation starter for sure. Ana de Armas, what an absolute talent. If she's photographed in black and white or the random splash of colors, she's absolutely stunning. Did I see Marilyn Monroe 1,000% in this movie? No, but I wasn't looking for a impersonation of like a drag performance. I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for someone to embody a lot of the tragicness, but a lot of the hopeful values, a lot of the smarts that Marilyn Monroe had. Ana de Armas is exactly that. I think she actually has an interesting correlation to this. I think Margot Robbie's another one I would consider in that vein of like, these women are absolutely stunning, beautiful, and that's where most of the conversation stops with them. A lot of the times people are like, Margot Robbie, gorgeous. Ana de Armas, gorgeous. And I'm like, you could also add very good actress to that as well, because these women are good. I mean, Ana de Armas from her Small Time and No Time to Die and Knives Out and that one really bad Ben Affleck movie. She's always the highlight of these films. She's a strong actress and she elevates Blonde. The moments that I don't love Blonde, Ana de Armas is still there to be like, I'm still here, still gorgeous, still killing it, still giving you layers and layers of this performance. There's so much to it. There's one scene where she's doing an audition and you're seeing her call back to her childhood, that very abusive childhood. And oh my goodness, that was me. That was the Ana de Armas highlight reel for her awards contention, because wow, she carries this movie. She is the heart and soul of this. There are so many men in this movie that just kind of go in and out. Like, there's a lot of decent acting, but to me, the men are not the part of this film. They're just kind of there to come and go, much like they did in Marilyn Monroe's life. I don't really care about the men of this movie. I think Andrew Dominik, the director and writer, is the only man that matters. Like, Bobby Cannavale is in there, and the actor who played JFK is there. Yeah, there's people who are there. There's men who support the story, but this is truly a about Ana de Armas' Marilyn Monroe. She captures so much beauty and essence of the woman, the tragicness, but also the layers. Oh, also, credit to the young actress who played Marilyn, who had to deal with the child abuse scenes. Wow, I hope they gave that girl everything she wanted, because those were hard-hitting scenes to watch. I can only imagine what it was like filming. Wow, but yes, overall, this was an experience, and it's carried by Ana de Armas. If you don't love the movie, I think you would still agree with me that she is the absolute stunning star of it all. All right, everyone, that is it for my review of Blonde. I broke down why it's so shocking, why I think Ana de Armas is so good in it, and why you should be watching this. All right, everyone, what did you think of this review? What do you think of this movie? Are you going to be checking it out when it drops on Netflix? Share your feelings down in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up, and let's talk about Blonde and more Marilyn Monroe drama down there.